Returning now to our top story, Dominic Perrottet's election campaign has been thrown into turmoil after he admitted to wearing a Nazi uniform to his 21st birthday party almost 20 years ago. The New South Wales Premier says he was deeply ashamed and truly sorry for the hurt that his actions had caused. Joining me now live is Australian Jewish Association President Robert Gregory. Robert, thank you very much for joining us this morning. What's your reaction to this admission by the Premier?
Thanks, Danica. Look, I won't mince words. What the Premier did was offensive, it was stupid, but it was also 20 years ago when he was 21 years old. So he's come out and apologised, and from our perspective, we can move on. He hopefully understands the lessons learned. We all know 21-year-olds often do offensive and stupid things. So that's our perspective we're taking on it.
So has he redeemed himself then, particularly after meeting with Jewish leaders yesterday and making that apology, or is there now a strained relationship?
I don't think there's any strained relationship. I think obviously his response has redeemed him, as well as his record of friendship to the Jewish community, to Israel. I think he can rely on that record. Nobody thinks the Premier is a Nazi or anything like that in the Jewish community.
And I know that you mentioned, of course, that this happened 20 years ago, but what do you make of the fact that he only went public with the admission after a cabinet colleague told him that that specific photo had been circulating?
Sure. Obviously the circumstances aren't ideal, but we're comparing it to, there was an incident a few months ago in Victoria where the Victorian Premier was using inappropriate Nazi comparisons, and that was while he was a serving Premier, and when he was asked to apologise, he doubled down on it. So something like that is a bigger concern to many people in the Jewish community than something that happened so many years ago when he was so young.
What has been the reaction from the community? How are they feeling in general about this admission?
People are obviously very shocked. A Nazi uniform is always confronting. There's many Holocaust survivors in the Australian Jewish community. But I think people are also, they know the Premier. I've met the Premier personally. He often attends Jewish events. He's known as a strong friend of the community. It was actually quite ironic to see our former Premier, Bob Carr, came out and condemned the Premier. Bob's obviously not someone who's so close to the Jewish community. He's often had a strained relationship due to, things like talking about a Jewish lobby and things like that. So, when it comes to the Premier, I think his record, the community feels quite comfortable with him.
How far overall has the nation come in learning about how offensive and inappropriate these symbols are, or is more education needed?
I think, in the last 20 years, I think we've come some way, and hopefully an incident like that would be much more unlikely to occur these days, but we definitely haven't come far enough. And there was a study released last year showing that Australians' knowledge of the Holocaust is quite lacking. There isn't enough education in schools. So that's a really big issue at the Australian Jewish Association that we're pushing, that schools should be teaching about the Holocaust, and hopefully incidents like this won't occur. People will realise the severity and the horrors of what occurred.
Robert Gregory, thank you so much for joining us this morning.